The new Secure Act 2.0 looks like it's going to pass. What do the changes mean for retirees? Some changes are good, some changes are bad. Some changes are definitely confusing. Let's go over it next. Hey, this is Mel Stubbs. I'm a financial planner here at Christy Capital Management. We want to bring clarity to the confusing world of retirement planning. And the Secure Act 2.0 is definitely confusing. Ed Slott, known as America's IRA expert, he says whatever the government names a bill, it typically does the exact opposite. His favorite example of this is the Deficit Reduction Act of 2005. Now, I don't want to say anything negative about our government, especially since so many federal employees and retirees are watching this. But I haven't seen the deficit going down, have you? He thinks when you call the Secure Act, and then now the Secure Act 2.0, that it actually does the exact opposite. It potentially makes retirement planning less secure. This is a list of how the proposed law will affect retirees. Now, there are provisions about auto-enrolling new employees into 401ks and matching student loan payments into 401ks, but those rules don't affect retirees. Today, I just want to focus on how this new law affects retirees. So let's start off with the 4 things that I deem to be a positive change, and then we'll have 2 changes that I think are bad and make retirement planning more difficult. So number 1, IRA catch-up contribution limits are indexed for inflation. So right now, if you are under the age of 50, you can contribute $6,000 to an IRA or a Roth IRA. If you're over the age of 50, you can contribute an additional $1,000. So this catch-up amount for IRA contributions right now, it's $1,000. Well, the Secure Act 2.0 indexes the catch-up amount for inflation starting in 2023. I deem this to be a positive change because anytime the IRS lets you save more money in an IRA or a Roth IRA, I think that's a good thing. Now, number 2, similarly, the 401k catch-up contribution limits. Under the new law, employees who reach age 50 can make extra catch-up contributions to the 401k or the TSP or similar plan. The limit to that catch-up contributions in 2021 was $6,500. The Secure Act 2.0 keeps the existing catch-up contribution limits for those aged 50 to age 61, but it increases the annual catch-up amount to $10,000 for participants aged 62 to 64, beginning in 2023. Now, this higher limit would be indexed for inflation as well. There again, being allowed to save more money into retirement accounts is a positive thing. Number 3, catch-up contributions have to go to Roth 401k. So in a revenue-raising mood, the Secure Act 2.0 requires all catch-up contributions to be designated as Roth contributions. This is great news as it allows you to save more money into Roth. The bad news is that they're forcing you to do this. You don't have a choice. Now, some people are in the higher tax brackets where they may not want to contribute to Roth. They would rather take the deduction now because they're in such a high tax bracket. Well, with the new Secure Act 2.0, you don't have a choice. Since I like Roth accounts, and most people don't have a large portion of their money in a Roth account, I think this is good, but I do wish they gave people the choice and they didn't force them to do it. So number 4, allow Roth matching contributions. So plan sponsors would have the option of permitting employees to elect to have some or all of their matching contributions to be treated as Roth contributions, for their 401k plan. Employer matching contributions designated as Roth contributions would not be excluded from employees' gross income. This means you can have the match go to Roth, but you will be taxed on that amount each year. So if you get $5,000 a year of matching funds, you can have it go all to Roth. But at the end of the year, when you get your W-2, your income will be $5,000 higher because of it. I think this is a positive move because it allows you to get more money into Roth accounts. It is also great that they give you the option to choose to do it or not do it. This is positive. Before we get to the bad stuff, if you're getting value out of this video, please consider subscribing. We want to serve as many people as we can, and your subscribing and your comments help YouTube's algorithm get our videos in front of more people. So please consider subscribing. Now let's get to the bad changes. The next 2 changes make retirement planning more confusing and more difficult. So change number 5, the 10-year rule. The first Secure Act eliminated the so-called stretch IRA for most non-spouse designated beneficiaries and replaced that with a 10-year rule, under which all the inherited retirement funds must be withdrawn by the end of the 10th year after death. So instead of stretching an inherited IRA for 20, 30, maybe 40 years and only having to take a small RMD each year, This rule forces you to take distributions in the first 10 years, thereby really shortening the amount of time you have for tax-advantaged growth. So this rule is not a rule of the new Secure Act 2.0. Instead, the IRS has made a surprise announcement recently on how they'll be interpreting the first Secure Act. The beneficiaries of IRAs and retirement accounts who've inherited from an IRA or retirement account owner who's already been receiving required minimum distributions will be required to continue those distributions in the first 9 years immediately following the year of the IRA owner's death, and then be forced to take a lump sum distribution for the balance of the retirement account in the final distribution year. We were hoping that at least the beneficiaries could time their taxable distributions anytime they wanted to within the 10 years. But that's not the way it is. These new proposed regulations will apply to traditional IRAs and retirement accounts, but not to Roth IRAs, because Roth IRAs don't have a required minimum distribution for the original IRA owner or the original Roth IRA owner's spouse. Many people think this new rule has downgraded IRAs as an estate planning vehicle because they eliminated the stretch IRA. Congress now has purposely made the IRA a lousy wealth transfer vehicle. The benefits of a retirement account are now only beneficial to you, the owner, and it's not as beneficial to your heirs. The taxes are now a lot more cumbersome for your beneficiary. Now, Ed Slott has a new book called The Retirement Savings Time Bomb, and it talks about how Congress has now upgraded the value of using permanent cash value life insurance instead of leaving IRAs. Life insurance policies today can now give you living benefits like long-term care benefits and also have the income tax-free death benefit. This may end up being better planning than using the old stretch IRA. Here's a quote from Ed Slott. "All I think Congress did was shoot themselves in the foot. All they did was wake us up and incentivize us, motivate us to do the better planning with life insurance that we probably should have been doing all along." Life insurance has now, in Ed's opinion, moved to the top of the list as the wealth transfer and estate planning vehicle. Now the last negative change, number 6, RMD changes. So a few years ago, the RMD age was 70 and a half. The first Secure Act changed the age to 72. This was a confusing transition period. Now with the proposed Secure Act, the age of RMDs would initially increase to 73 starting on January 1st, 2023, and then go to age 74, January 1st, 2030, and then would go to 75 on January 1st, 2033. It would also waive RMDs for individuals with less than $100,000 in aggregate retirement savings, as well as reduce the penalty from failing to take an RMD from 25% from the current 50%. Now, all of these changes would be better for people as it delays the date from which you're required to take your money out. But one thing that is not good about these changes is now it's very confusing. Different ages apply in different years. Different rules depending on how much your balance is. All this confusion may warrant working with a professional to help make sure that you do everything properly. A few years ago, it was very confusing for people when they didn't know if they took an RMD at age 70 and a half or age 72. It got down to exactly when did you turn 70 and a half. Like exactly. We need the exact date of your half birthday. And the penalties are too high to mess up. Now, making things overly confusing is never helpful. If you want help with your retirement planning and you want to work with somebody that's aware of these changes and how they affect your retirement, please reach out to ChristyCapital.com or give us a call on the number on your screen. We're always on the lookout for better ways to plan for your retirement. As tax laws change, some of the planning strategies will change. As Congress changes the rule, it may mean that the plans that you were doing 5 years ago aren't suitable anymore. We spend lots of time staying up to date on current law changes and tax changes to make sure that we provide our clients with the best advice that we can. If working with someone like that is of interest to you, please reach out to us. My name is Mel Stubbs. Happy planning. We need to do the proper disclaimers. The purpose of this video is not to give specific tax advice or investment advice. We're going over general principles and ideas that can be used, and if used correctly can save and avoid taxes. You're going to want to work with someone personally who knows your situation personally. So seek out advice from an independent financial advisor. This is for educational purposes only. I hope you enjoyed the video.